The guy is maintaining an insane physique year round. Even when he's not contest conditioned, he looks absolutely nuts still. Like even at his worst, like this is the fattest you've ever seen him. What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com. Today we're gonna be talking about Helmut Strebl. Might be butchering the fuck out of that, but Helmut Strebl. Couldn't find somebody pronouncing it, because this guy is pretty, I don't know, like under the radar, even though he's one of like the classic OG aesthetic influencers. You know, we had the Jocko De Bruyne, fucking Lazar Angelov, like those guys. Helmut was right in that. I'm definitely saying it wrong. Helmut was definitely back in those, and here he is wearing a helmet, go figure. He was in that era of like the original OGs of the fitness industry as it started to really ramp up, showing off the absurdly shredded physique that is just inhuman to imagine achieving. And he got a lot of, you know, speculation. The guy makes Athlean-x look like fucking fat almost, like obviously not, but he's like next level, like almost Munzer territory fucking shredded. If you don't know who Munzer is, he is, we actually did a video on the death cycle of Andreas Munzer. This guy was known for his conditioning. He would get to like, I think he was like one of the only bodybuilders ever to have reached a legitimate like 2-point-something% body fat. So, you know how people commonly say shit like, you know, like even pro athletes that are not bodybuilders, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm like 2%, 3% body fat. And it's like, you know, based on some ridiculous measurement modality that is like way inaccurate, or just based on like actual nonsense. But here, like this is like the pinnacle of fucking conditioning, and he went so far as to, if you want to see what happened, the guy took the pharmacology very, very far, and he had his proposed cycle that essentially took his life, unfortunately, laid out. He had like a big elaborate breakdown, apparently, you know, whether it's legit or not, you know, I don't know, it's kind of, I'd have to revisit the discussion. I did this video over 2 years ago, but it was, this is sort of regarded as, you know, the death cycle that he did. So I broke it down in this video. It involved a lot of stuff. Like at the end, it was using drugs I've never even fucking heard of, to be honest. Where was it? Way at the end here. I don't know. It was something. There was a bunch of other shit too. I forget what it was. But anyways, if you want to see that, it's broken down in here, and his conditioning is absolutely off the chain. And Helmut is not far behind. This guy has nutty striations, absolutely deep as fuck. Just the deepest separation ever. The guy's in literally an anatomy chart. So this subreddit thread came up. He is the most shredded man on the planet. How does one achieve this physique? So I kind of got interested because he has done an interview before where he broke down his diet and his workout regimen, and I was like, I've never actually broken it down in Chronometer to see how many calories it is, the protein intake, the carb intake, how many sets he's doing per week for working sets. I was like, this might be an interesting breakdown, because I've seen it broken down and I just skimmed over it. But now that I like understand macros better, micronutrient intake, it would just be, I thought it was interesting to go back and actually calculate it and see what this guy is doing. So in the subreddit thread, it got a decent amount of attention. Boatloads of gear to maintain muscle, boatloads of diuretics to dehydrate you into nothing, starve yourself to the brink of death to strip every non-essential gram of fat off your frame, look like the picture of perfect health while actually being extremely unhealthy and feeling like death. Sounds like the traditional bodybuilder approach to stepping on stage, yeah. Lots of pain. This guy needs to carb the fuck up, be on the brink of death every second of your existence, and diet 35 to impose dominance. The man's like 50. So I wanted to see how old he was, so I went to Google to type it in. I typed it in Helmut Strebl, and the first thing that came up was this. I was like, holy shit, this is the most searched result. Helmut Strebl, death, diet, age, and then Streblo after that. So I was like, fuck dude, like did this guy kick the can? So I clicked on it, and it does not seem so. You know, I don't know why this would be the top ranked result with all of this shit. It's like Helmut and his death-defying body. Helmut, he's like 2 glasses of water away from death. His dedication towards being shredded was so extreme. Oh shit. Did he Did he die? Or is that Munzer? I'm assuming it's going to be Helmut. Yeah, okay, so it was Munzer. Okay, so anyways, presumably Helmut is still alive and well, and he is 53 years old according to famous birthdays. So he was a world champion bodybuilder and fitness model who took first at the Miami Pro World Championships in 2014, 2013, became a European muscle model and natural bodybuilding champion in 2008, 2009, 2010. Also as a certified personal trainer and nutritionist. Started lifting at 12, joined his first gym at 16, never looked back. He was Mr. Austria in 96, Mr. Fitness 98, became the famed 2011 European natural bodybuilding champion. He hails from Austria. So some of his pictures are absolutely nuts. This is a interview he did with Simply Shredded at 47 years old. So this was a while ago now, if he is 53 years old. So this is over half a decade at this point. 47 years old here, 6'3" apparently at 200 pounds. This is next level conditioning, dude. So he mentions how he was a skinny weakling at 12 years old, easy prey for bullies. In contrast to a schoolmate who was a muscle machine. At first, I got into lifting weights only to protect myself, but I was also determined to put myself on physical par with my schoolmate, my odd twin. Here was wishful thinking. From it, there came my dream of becoming a fitness model. I liked weightlifting from the start. My first pair of weights was 5 kilos apiece. This was, not very many people do interviews with this guy, by the way. This is like the only good, elaborate, insightful interview we get into his diet, his workout regimen, etc. So that's why we're digging into this one mainly. So this was first pair of weights was 2 bottles of washing detergent filled with water. I did not have proper dumbbells until a few years later. I was 16 when I joined a local gym. From early on, high aspirations and mental conditioning have been the keys to my life in fitness training and competition. So yeah, mental conditioning would definitely be highly useful to achieve this conditioning. You know, the willpower is absurd. I feel that to develop in the sport takes big dreams and a mindset for realizing that bodybuilding is the art of the possible. So here he is sitting, doing a kneeling, I don't even know what you call this position, but he has a tilted hat on and he looks like the fucking, I don't know, he's like the walking Grim Reaper of shreds, bro, coming to slay your goddamn ass. He is like literally death face incarnate in a gym, just chilling in track pants. Where does your motivation come from? What truly motivates me is my mission to serve as a graphic example of achieving ideals, ultimate fitness dreams, and more. My life is my message, so I would have it. So obviously this is not, you know, the epitome of health necessarily, maintaining this conditioning year round, but like look at this, holy fuck. Now again, these are pictures that are the ones he chose presumably and provided them, or they chose, and it's going to be at his most conditioned. So these are like photo shoot shots. I'm assuming he actually gets a little bit more healthy and fluffy in his off seasons, which I dug hard to find off season pics of this guy, and this was the fattest I could find him. Boom! Sponsored integration. We are going to be talking about Seed Synbiotic. It is the pre and probiotic formula that I use based on actual literature in humans as opposed to just rodent models and strains that aren't just picked out of a hat. This is stuff that I was heavily interested in years ago when I was trying to learn about the gut microbiome and the gut-brain axis, because it is an area that like I don't really understand, to be honest. So anytime I don't understand something, I defer out to individuals that I want to learn from. So I, add a bunch of podcasts to my watch list from different creators that are otherwise seen as experts in the space. I started digging into literature published on the stuff, and the owner of this company was doing a podcast a few years ago. I don't know if he did a bunch, but this one was like a really in-depth one on Ben Greenfield's show, and kind of, piqued my interest because I was at the time buying a bunch of random probiotic formulas off iHerb and whatnot, and I wasn't really sure, if the ones I was getting were that useful, to be honest. It's like kind of hard to tell with this kind of stuff if what they're selling, like all these fancy sounding strains, are the correct ones or not. And then later, a couple friends of mine that also use this brand vouched for it, and it just came up randomly in conversation when we were talking about how to optimize health, vitality, quality of life. For me, this is more of an insurance policy than anything. So I want to, live a long, healthy, high quality life, notably as well. And the interactions with the gut microbiome and the brain are like becoming more and more, it's like not very well understood, but it's becoming more and more, there's more and more emphasis being put on how important it is to maintain high quality interactions between the two, have maintained like support of gut permeability and whatnot, and not have like, I'm sure you've heard of the deleterious impacts of leaky gut and seen some of the brutal autoimmune things that can come as a result of certain individuals having a lack of high quality, gut support essentially. And for me, there's just another thing in my arsenal to try and hopefully avoid some sort of like detrimental impact to my quality of life on a day-to-day basis coming as a result of lack of supporting my gut. So for me, this is the pre and probiotic formula that I trust, that I've been using for a while now. It comes in a 2-in-1 ViaCap technology. It's like a capsule in a capsule to ensure it reaches the colon. Going through intestinal transit does not get degraded into nothingness. It has 24 clinically, scientifically studied strains, and these 24 strains comprise 53.6 billion active fluorescent units that carry an array of systemic benefits above and beyond just the standard, does it support a healthy stool movement? Like a lot of people, they just think, oh, I have diarrhea equals bad gut health. Solid log equals good gut health. And it's like, there's definitely more to it than that. And it's something I'm learning about more constantly all the time. For me, again, that's why I use it. If you want to support me, obviously it's very much appreciated when you guys support brands that stick their neck out and believe in what I'm doing and are otherwise supportive of the growth of this channel. So when you guys support them, indirectly helps support me and continue the growth of this channel, and reinforces their decision making to step out and kind of like get behind this channel. So if you want to check it out, click the link in the description to get 15% off your first month supply of Seeds Daily Synbiotic and use code Derek at checkout. Click the link in the description below to get started, and back to our regularly scheduled programming. Boom. And this looks a bit healthier, looking pretty meaty. Looks like a solid Bruce Wayne potentially. Like, look at this shit. It's fucking solid peaks, bro. Good separation, and he is more healthy body fat here for sure. Still shredded by any person's standards though, but not as dialed in as he is here, where he looks like he's about to fucking literally pass out. Like, this is death face, bro. Like, holy motherfuck. There is, for me, to the simple fact that training can feel so good. I mean, incredibly good when the mood and energy are right. What workout routines work best for you? So here we go. My routine is far from being over-programmed. Every 5 or 6 days, like, I don't even know what this means. Does that mean you don't do too many sets? Every 5 or 6 days, I train each, I don't know, maybe it's more like flexible, I guess. Every 5 or 6 days, I train each of my major muscle groups. Monday, back, shoulders, calves, abs. Wide grip lat pull downs, 4 sets of 16 to 20. Chin ups, close grip, 3 sets of 12. Dumbbell rows, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Seated dumbbell military press, 5 sets of 8 to 12. Dumbbell side arm raises, upright rows, seated calf raises, standing calf raises, seated machine crunches, leg raises in abdominal chair. Like, this is quite the fucking workout, dude. Like, this would be, what is this, like a 2-hour workout? Like, even if you're taking a minute between sets, like, you are at least in there for like an hour and a half, I would think, easily. Like, minimum, fuck. Like, who, with these long sets too, like, holy shit, 20 reps on the lat pull down. Chest and triceps Tuesday, bench press, 5 sets of 6 to 10, stability ball dumbbell bench press, 5 sets of 10 to 15, butterfly machine, 5 sets of 10 to 15, tricep extension with a barbell, 5, that would fucking kill my wrists, I feel like. 5 sets of, well, maybe it's an easy bar, I don't know. 5 sets of 8 to 12, dips, 5 sets of 15 to 20. Wednesday, biceps, hamstrings, abs, preacher curls, bicep curls, leg curls. So he's pretty much doing like 4 or 5 sets of fucking everything. Leg curls, bench crunches, incline bench crunches. Thursday, quads and calves, incline leg press, seated leg extension, seated calf raises, standing calf raises, glutes and chest heavy on Friday. Okay, this is a bit of a, not as volume driven workout. Lying down, machine glutes extension, standing machine glutes extension, decline close grip bench press. That's interesting. Decline close grip. Saturday, rest day. Sunday, back and calves, seated row, reverse grip lat pull down, seated calf raises, standing calf raises. Like, this day is fucking wild though, dude. Like, holy shit. So I added up all the sets twice and I got over 150. I was like, I had to recalculate because I wasn't sure if that was legit. I was like, damn, did I like miscalculate something? But no, dude, like over 150 sets. And apparently it's to failure. I usually do supersets and less often mammoth sets, working them to failure. I punctuate a series of reps with resting by breathing in and out about 5 times and holding to the Dictum that what is necessary is never unwise. I follow these 7 procedural imperatives. Always warm up, observe proper posture, breathe properly, stop lifting if I feel pain, observe proper form, use torso stabilization, execute full range of motion. Intensity and following my instincts are to the point here. I have a calendar notebook. In it, I sometimes plot in advance the exact days and hours for training my shoulders, chest, back, quads, hamstrings, triceps, and biceps. So like I could understand if you're almost 50, why you would be doing, like 16 to 20, 15 to 20, 30 to 50. Holy shit, dude. You're being a bit more longevity minded, not as taxing on your joints and whatnot. But still, like, this is a lot of work, like over 150 sets a week. And I don't know how many of these, if it's the, last set that's the failure or what, but it's like, I usually do supersets and working them to failure. Like, fuck, I would be dead after this. Insane. So, anyways, this is, I guess this is that same shot when he's outside. Like, obviously this must have been, post-competition or something too, or for a photo shoot. But still, like, even when you were off season looking like this, pretty nutty. So getting into the diet. What is your diet like? As opposed to my workouts, my diet follows more detailed planning. I eat between 5 and 7 meals a day. I have lean protein every meal, egg whites, turkey, chicken, beef, white fish. For my carbs, I go heavy in season on the sweet potatoes and brown rice. During this time, I cut carbs in the evening. So this is the full diet. Meal 1, 5 to 8 egg whites, plus 1 yolk, 1 chicken, large cup of coffee, 3 bagels with sweetener, jam, mustard, low-fat spread. Meal 2, meal replacement shake, 50 grams of protein, 80 grams of carbs. So I'm like, damn, like this is like one of those like medium weight gainers. It's like not a protein shake that's just, straight up whey that is, 240, 260 calories of just pure protein essentially and minimal fat and sugar content, but it is like loaded with carbs. Like this is reminiscent of that Cyto gainer stuff I've talked about a few times that I used to use way back in the day. That was like not mutant mass, like 1,000 calorie plus level territory, but not like stripped down to just, whey protein concentrate, isolate 250 calories ish for a 50 gram shake. You're like in the middle where you have like decent amount of carbs and you're at, that like 500 to 600 calorie limit approximately. So it was interesting to see that considering this guy, like, look at him. Holy shit, dude. Anatomy chart. So I was like, this guy is eating a decent amount. So like what point is this, diet? It's kind of hard to say. He says, I eat between 5 and 7 meals a day. I have lean protein every meal. Egg whites, turkey, chicken, beef, white fish. For my carbs, I go heavy in season on the sweet potatoes and rice. So like in season, like is that like when you're prepping for shows, you go harder on these? During this time, I cut carbs in the evening. So like, I don't know, like when he says during this time, does he mean like right now he's in like a comp prep or like a photo shoot prep? We're just trying to like lean down or what? But like, you can tell from a glance this is a lot of food for clean, like fucking a lot of fat-free food too. So we're gonna be getting into it shortly, what it actually is. Like again, we don't know if it's chicken thigh, chicken breast, but I'll assume it's like boneless chicken, boneless, skinless chicken breast like most of us would be eating in a, like if this had like the full fat versions of the chicken in every meal and it had, you'd be pushing like fucking 4,000 calories. And it's like, obviously this guy's not maintaining his conditioning doing that, at least from what I would assume. But let's, I kind of like averaged it out and you'll see. So anyways, he has the kind of like middle of the road weight gainer sort of. Cooked basmati rice and turkey, chicken, presumably. Basmati rice and turkey or chicken or fish. I'm assuming he's not having like fucking 2 ounces of each. Basmati rice with turkey, chicken, or fish again. 10 to 12 egg whites, no yolk, and 4 slices of brown toast. So I'm like, goddamn. And he says when he cuts down to 4% body fat, so I guess 4% is what his like goal body fat percentage is when he's doing a competition. He says this means decreasing my carb intake and slightly increasing my fat consumption. I also do carb cycling for about a month prior to the event. Each of my cycles lasts 4 days. For the first 3, I have between 150 to 200 grams of carbs divided over 6 meals. On the 4th day, I just escalate to between 300 to 400 grams. After this high day, I start the cycle again. And look at these shots, bro. Wow. Fucking Christmas tree and a half. Deep separation. Pray to Jesus, bro. Dialed. Fucking dialed. Like imagine this guy building your fucking house. Super effective. So anyway, but I imagine I imagine he's like an Athlean-x where he maintains not this year round, but something closer to like, something closer to this, presumably, which is possible, but it's just fucking hard. So let's get into it. So as far as the breakdown of the diet, I plugged in for egg whites. I gave him 6 large. He mentioned how he was having 5 to 8. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll put in 6. Then we have 1 yolk. So I was like, okay, well, we'll have 7 eggs in total. You know, 1 of them is like the full egg, and then 6 of them are just the whites. Then we have the 3 bagels with sweetener, jam, mustard, low-fat spread. So I'm like, okay, there's no way this guy is using like full sugar jam. So I was like, okay, sugar-free with sucralose, jam or preservatives, 3 tablespoons. So I just kind of ballparked this, and I assumed he's not the kind of guy who would put like a fuck ton of like fatty, like sugary, you know, spread on his bagels. And I just assumed the bagels were like small-ish because the calorie intake for it was very, very high for like a massive, like extra, I don't know, like a large bagel. So I kind of like minimized these just because the calorie intake seemed too exorbitant for what this guy looks like. So I just kind of, you know, extrapolated a little bit. I put in 3 small bagels, 3 tablespoons of jam, sugar-free with sucralose. I'm like, okay, that's, you know, close enough. Next, meal replacement shake. I'm like, what is the closest thing I can find that's close to this? Cyto Sport. This is the Cyto gainer I was talking about. It's almost exactly 520 calories. So if you break this down, 50 grams of protein, 200 calories of protein, 80 grams of carbs, you're looking at 320 grams of carbs. So if you add the 200 to the 320, we've got 520 calories of protein and carbs. So I just, you know, ballparked that approximately with this, and it was almost the exact amount of protein. I haven't used this app in a while, so I don't even know how to add in custom things. So I was going to make like a custom shake that was just straight up 50 grams protein, 80 grams carbs, but I couldn't find the option to do that. So I just found the closest thing I could find. This is 518. Had 50 grams protein, 68.5 grams of carbs, 4.6 fat. I was like, okay, whatever, close enough. Because mainly we're looking at, you know, the energy intake, expenditure, protein intake, and kind of just, you know, figuring out kind of where this guy's at to maintain his condition and whatnot. All right, cooked basmati rice and turkey or chicken. So I was like, okay, this guy probably has a cup of cooked rice, I'm imagining. Like it's kind of odd to do like more than that, I would think, for this guy's condition. And I don't know, like it just seemed like a reasonable amount to ballpark. And for ounces of chicken, I should have mentioned in the first meal too, he mentioned just chicken, straight up, 1 chicken. I'm like, what is that, bro? Like, I don't know what a fucking chicken is. So I put in 6 ounces. I think that's a reasonable portion size that most people would kind of be on board with, that if this guy's indeed 6'3" and 200 pounds, that he's probably having like 6 ounces of lean meats during each portion. You know, I can't imagine he'd be pushing 8 with a fuck ton of egg whites too, as well as the 3 bagels, and with his conditioning. So I was like, okay, like 6 ounces of lean meat per meal, like, is reasonable, I think. I don't think you'd push it much more than that, because this is a lot of clean food to put down. So that next meal, we had the 6 ounces of boneless, skinless chicken breast, as well as a cup of basmati rice. And then we move on to the next meal. I was like, okay, obviously he's not gonna have, you know, maybe I'm sure he has chicken sometimes, like every fucking meal if he wants, but I just, for the sake of variability and to make it more representative of his like longitudinal data, I made this meal the chicken one, this meal a turkey one, and this meal a fish one, and the basmati rice stayed the same portion size at a cup. So meal 4, we had the basmati rice again with turkey this time, 6 ounces again. Then the next meal, we had 6 ounces of salmon with basmati rice again. Then the last meal we get into is the 10 to 12 egg whites. I was like, fuck, dude, capping it off with a shit ton of these. And 4 slices of brown toast. So I had 11 in here. I was like, okay, well, you do 10 to 12, so I might as well just do 11. And then 4 slices of multigrain brown bread. And we're at 3,426 calories consumed, with about 360 grams of protein, about 354 grams of carbs, 50.4 grams of fat. The reason these things are not hitting their targets is not because this is not sufficient. It's because to have a breakdown of your macro allotments, you know, the tracking software has you break down into like percentage targets and whatnot. So I just did a standard 40-40-20 split of protein, carbs, and fat, which is a pretty standard diet model for a lot of people in the fitness industry. Especially around this time when this article came out. So I figured that was like a reasonable breakdown. So it's not like he's, you know, 11 grams off of like his ability to grow muscle. Like that would be absurd. Like this is a fucking shit ton of protein. So, but just that's why these targets are not there. And it's also set for what would it be if this was his, if he was trying to maintain his weight, you know, how much of a deficit would he be in? Like I had to put in some sort of like counter metric to assess, you know, is your goal gaining weight or losing weight? So I was like, okay, we'll just put it, you know, at the middle. This is to maintain weight. And this is, you know, a 40-40-20 split. Now, ballparking his activity level, the guy is very active. He does really intense workouts, evidently, with a shit ton of sets, like over 150 working sets a week, apparently. This is not even counting, you know, the warm-ups. He says, you know, always warm up, you know, like, I don't know, like your feeder sets, are these in here too? But I don't know. Anyway, regardless, the guy's doing a lot of work. And this is not factoring in cardio. I don't know what his cardio is. He didn't mention it in this whatsoever. But to maintain this condition while eating 3,400 calories of food, like I can't imagine you'd be doing it just with those workouts. I imagine you're doing a decent amount of cardio on top, at least something. Like I think Greg's intake is like 3,500 calories a day, and to maintain his like sub 10% conditioning, he has to do like you know, he does a lot of like endurance cycling, a lot of cardio. You know, it's something that you otherwise, Mike Mezzamucci, another guy, he was the guy who eats like pizza, pasta, and like acai, and that's like all he eats, and he eats a shit ton of calories proportionally for, you know, his size and whatnot, but he does a ton of energy expenditure. He's doing a bunch of BJJ on a nearly daily basis, presumably, and he's doing like going for hikes and like doing all this wild shit, and he's burning a ton of calories. So these individuals, they stay shredded, even eating what is perceived to be, you know, like a normal like maintenance or like even slightly like lean gain, I don't know, like lean bulk calorie intake for most people, because they're doing so much energy expenditure. And they also have a bunch of muscle that is, you know, thermogenically active fucking tissue that requires more nutrients to support than, you know, like you're just burning more energy at rest when you were more jacked. You know, that's kind of well understood. It's not like that crazy amount that where you're gonna have like burn like 5,000 calories just sitting in your fucking chair if you're jacked, but it does obviously help. You're more insulin sensitive. Like everything, you know, is more favorable for, you know, making good use of these calories when you're jacked and you're doing, you know, the amount of work necessary to partition it, blah, blah, blah. So I assumed I was like trying to ballpark what's this guy's activity level, because when you factor in the energy expenditure equation, you have, you know, sedentary, little to no exercise, you basically don't do shit, lightly active, basic daily living, light exercise 1 to 3 days a week. I'm like, obviously not that. Moderately active, move frequently through the day, and or moderate exercise 3 to 5 days a week. I'm like, okay, this guy, you know, doesn't really fall into this category, I would think, to maintain that conditioning. So very active. Again, this is kind of a big disparity between 0.5 and 0.9 multiplier for very active and moderately active. And I don't know how much cardio he does, but I'm just gonna assume with the way he maintains his condition, he does like gets his steps in or whatever. So intense activity throughout the day, such as manual agricultural work or competitive athletic training. So I mean, like, obviously his training is like intense as fuck. And then if he does cardio on top of that, like I imagine you would be like falling into here. Maybe, I don't know. Like I'm just explaining how we got to this 3,707 calorie burn per day. So regardless, the guy is maintaining an insane physique year round. Even when he's not contest conditioned, he looks absolutely nuts still. Like even at his worst, like this is the fattest you've ever seen him. Now, again, this is a time where people didn't have a ton of content because there was no social media. So there was like, you know, DVDs and stuff still coming out, and, you know, like very, very like just, I don't know, like YouTube wasn't even really a thing. Like this is his YouTube channel, and the last video posted was, let's see, 2016, and he's doing ab raises here, but you can tell he's in like, you know, Athlean-x condition for sure. And if you go back on his channel, he's always been pretty dialed. Like here's the oldest one. This is more of his, I don't know, heyday shots, I guess. Like he looks like he just did a fucking competition essentially, or a photo shoot or something. Like that's nutty, dude. And I would assume unsustainable, but you know, what do I know? So anyways, that is, you know, the general breakdown. This seemed like a lot of food, and to, like it does seem like a lot of food to me. So I imagine this guy is basically training and fucking eating all day, unless he has like a chef or his wife is like really on point with his meals and cleaning up after him. But this would be like a very like burdensome thing to keep up with, I would imagine. Because these are all very clean meals. You can't just like, you know, toss something down on the go. You got to actually sit down and like munch this stuff. And it is, as far as micronutrients, something I want to touch on too. So obviously he's hitting beyond hitting macros, but micronutrients, what is he deficient in? Well, he's pretty much like overflowing in essentially everything except for vitamin K was 2% of daily intake recommendations. So again, these recommended daily intakes are not necessarily representative of what is required for an elite athlete who's 200 pounds, 6'3". A lot of this is based on RDAs and whatnot. You have to extrapolate a little bit. But this vitamin K is actually not representative of what he's getting, because this is something you can get through chicken. So he probably does get a decent amount of vitamin K in that is not being accounted for here. Sometimes in chronometers, certain things don't account for every micronutrient. So you might have to manually calculate a little bit, but in general, this is pretty accurate. But the vitamin K, I would say he is a lot closer to his recommended daily intake with the chicken breast that he has in there. Other really good sources of vitamin K, natto is definitely better than chicken even. Liver, beef liver, I've mentioned many times. Nature's multivitamin, no pun intended with like Liver King and, promoting, eating liver. But it is like the most nutrient dense like piece of food you could be eating on a daily basis. I have 1 ounce of liver on a daily basis. The reason I don't have more than that is because of vitamin A toxicity potential. If you have just 1 ounce of beef liver per day though, you're getting in, 7 ounces per week. You're hitting like so many different micronutrient needs that otherwise may be deficient if you were following like a, bro bodybuilder type diet. And it's really easy to diversify your micronutrient intake just with a little bit of additions here and there. So if you're not having an ounce of liver a day, like I would definitely recommend adding it in. Like it's kind of like a no-brainer for pretty much everyone in my opinion, with very, very extreme outlier circumstances where maybe it might not be applicable. But vitamin K also dense in beef liver, and vitamin A, he would definitely be hitting that if he was adding that into his diet. As far as vitamin C goes, there's, I don't know, like he could add in some like citrus fruit, strawberries. Like this diet model is very, very deficient in vegetables and fruits, obviously. So you could imagine that he might benefit from, instead of having basmati rice during one of his meals, maybe you have a good serving of like citrusy fruits instead, and then you hit some of those, the vitamin C requirements, and you get those things up, and you get some of the, antioxidant potential, you get some of the, sirtuin, activation, like some of this stuff that otherwise could diversify your portfolio of micronutrient intake a little bit more and make you more like broad spectrum healthy rather than just focusing on like what's the leanest, most fucking like bodybuilder thing I could be eating. Like this diet is very, very bro. This is very, very like old school diet model. And obviously it works, but I mean, at the same time, you have to be mindful of health and physiologic processes too. So I think he could eke out a little bit more performance if he had, his micronutrient needs met, as well as just be like a healthier, individual overall. But overall, the diet is it's pretty wild that he would eat this regularly, especially following this training regimen too. Like the guy's probably just wiped, dude. The guy must just be all day training, eating, fucking doing cardio, and just like living the lifestyle, bro. So anyway, that's Helmut Strebl's diet model, as well as training regimen, the calorie intake roughly, protein intake, carb intake, rough energy expenditure, all extrapolated, but thought you guys might find that interesting. Because again, when I used to see, top influencers and stuff talk about, I'm bulking or I'm cutting or I'm doing this, like, and then they do a full day of eating. I always wanted to see at the end, like, what is the breakdown of the macros? Like, what about the micros? Like, is this, like something that I can learn from in some capacity rather than just like watching you eat mindlessly? Like, I don't know. So that's how I always felt. So I always appreciated when people would break down, the protein intake, the carbs, fats, total calories, rough energy expenditure is cool to see too. Like when people are talking about how much cardio they're doing, how they maintain the conditioning they do, or like what goes into their, everyday life. Do they think it's sustainable for an average person? Is it something that they can only adhere to because their fucking job depends around it? Like that kind of stuff is very relevant and educational and insightful in my opinion. So even for me, like I like to see that shit too. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. It would be cool to see, Helmut posting some more updated content. Like obviously the guy could pop off instantly on social media if he came back. So I'm not sure what he's doing. His website looks super outdated, but if he is passionate about fitness, like the guy could be one of the most inspirational, like mid-50s influencers in my opinion, for sure. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplacemordates.com. Follow me on Instagram, @moreplacemordates. Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My preventative medicine and hormone replacement therapy platform, where we connect you with high quality medical providers who dig into your diagnostics and provide high quality recommendations. It's not just protocols regarding medications, it's also lifestyle interventions, sleep hygiene adjustments, dietary manipulations, supplementation. Sometimes natural stuff can be a means to correcting deficiencies or imbalances without having to go the lifelong adherence to pharmacology route. And we like to explore all options before, haphazardly jumping on, testosterone replacement therapy when it may not be warranted, or digging further into, weird aberrations that may be indicative of like an underlying pituitary adenoma. I've done a couple of videos on the channel even of people who've been patients of ours who we've found and diagnosed that kind of stuff. So it's definitely worthwhile to get a high quality medical provider in your camp who is looking out for your quality of life, your diagnostics, staying on top of, cancer potential markers. There is a lot of stuff we dig into from the lipid side of things, cardiovascular side of things, metabolic, everything that we try to stay the most up to date on the cutting edge literature on, that you can expect to get high quality information imparted on you when you work through our clinic. So you can check it out, as well as get just self-service labs if you just want to check your bloods yourself. We have the cheapest, most cost-efficient blood panels that I've audited myself and approved. Or you can just, make your own panel with your own biomarkers and just choose like specific things. Like most companies won't let you just pick like a LCMS Total T and just add it to a cart and check out. They make you get like a full like $600 panel. We have a self-service labs builder that you can do your own panels and choose exactly what you want, even with the most sensitive of assays. So you can check it out. As well, if you want to support me, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas for cognitive enhancement, information retention, memory formation, mental clarity, etc. That I designed myself from scratch, as well as our pre-workout formulas that I created as well. Gorilla Mode Nitric, Gorilla Mode Energy. As well, anything else that supports me, a recommended diet model for gaining muscle and sports performance whilst being mindful of being diversified in micronutrient intake. This is a diet model that I feel is superior to this personally for health metrics, gut health, and just general more broad spectrum performance. So you can check that out as well. And it has like pre-designed diets like already made for you too. You can kind of just like plug and play a little bit. It's not cookie cutter, but it does give examples of like calorie intakes and the corresponding food choices, so you can actually like take like an idiot-proof 101 diet, rip it, try it out, and then make adjustments accordingly based on your needs. And it kind of like educates you about why the choices of foods are in there to begin with. So it's very nice, and I would highly recommend checking it out if you don't know where to start when it comes to creating a high-quality diet that is not just muscle and performance focused, but also health-minded, cognitive health, mental clarity, all that kind of stuff, high-quality sleep. As well, clothing company that sponsors me, anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.